Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Off the Mat with the Mat Burn crew. Coach George, Coach Bob, Coach Adam. All right, we got a bunch of stuff this week. We're going every other week, so we got Clash of the Titans co-main event announced, or Clash of the Spartans. Look at that co-main event. We got new classes. We're going to talk about the three truths and one lie that we posted. I think when we opened in May.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that and the stories behind it. These two actually have super great stories. Mine not so much. So we're going to really get into their stories. I think the next few things is, how did you get into wrestling? I think that's a question that we all want to know, how we all got into it. And then adding or changing something to making wrestling more mainstream or watchable in terms of a sport. Football is crazy. Baseball is crazy, people love it. But I don't know, baseball I find kind of boring at times, but wrestling, it just seems can't crack that mainstream sport. And then again, is sports for an adult the best place to fail? Should adults play sports so they remember how to fail? And that's the end of the question right there. I think we'll end with that. All right, so as you guys may know, we did offer new class this week. New fitness class taught by Coach Bob. So how'd it go?
That was good, man. It was good test run here for our new program. Getting a new group of people mixed in with wrestlers, exposing people to the fundamentals of wrestling, and getting in that fitness aspect of working out, helping people get strong, stay in shape. We had a good time. And I would say it was a good success. I'm looking forward to keeping it going and keep getting these good workouts out for everybody.
Yeah, the program you put together actually had exercises that would work with wrestlers or non-wrestlers as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good crossover.
It's very dynamic. We did agility, strength training, cardio, all in one.
So you'd say the class is open to anybody?
Open to anybody.
Awesome.
If
So
you've never wrestled before, come on in and try it. It's a great workout.
on Saturdays at 10:30.
Saturday's 10:30. If it's your first time, try to get there 10-15 minutes early because you get the paperwork and just a little intro. But 10:30 to 11 on Saturdays.
Free trials for the whole month of September. So bring a friend, bring somebody. Check it out. See if you like it. And then we have open mat on Saturday at 11 a.m. So I know we have a lot of tournaments coming up. We got the mat return on September 29th. We got the Baldwin Classic on the 16th. And then we got Clash of the
19th, October 19th.
19th?
yes.
19th, October 19th. And then we have Clash of Spartans on November 9th. So three things coming through. So I know a lot of you guys might be getting ready for that. And if you haven't been to Mat Burn, check it out, get some extra rounds in. So we're excited to offer that for this month and moving forward. So we're excited for that. All right, so let's talk about, when we first started this, we put in on social media three truths and a lie. All right, so I want to see if we go over these three truths, because some of you guys have really good lies and truths. So I'll pull up mine. All right, so mine was pretty easy. I don't think it was too hard. It was 5-time Ironman. I crashed into a turkey vulture, and then I swam from PA to New York, and then the last one was I'm a 7-time open marathon runner. So the lie was the open marathon runner. I've only actually done one open straight marathon. It was the worst ever. I hated it. It was so bad. I've never been so annoyed and pissed off. I literally finished walking the last 10 miles. I was like, I'm never doing this again. So that's the lie.
It was a 26-mile marathon?
It's my first open one.
Yeah.
I've only done one open one. That was it. It was in New Jersey, and it was raining, and it was just one of the worst experiences ever known to man. And I have videos somewhere of me just cursing at the thing. I took a selfie or whatever. It was the worst. The 5-time Ironman is true. I did complete 5 Ironmans, and if you look on the back of the wall, you'll see all 5 that are framed. So I did do those 5. So that is 2.4 miles swim, 112 miles biking, and 26.1 or 2 miles running, and they give you 17 hours to finish it. So if you don't finish in 17 hours, it doesn't officially count. So then I did do that, and I did swim from PA to New York because we went camping, and there was a little area in the campground that the river divides Pennsylvania to New York. It's literally, I don't know, probably less than 100 feet. And I thought, if I swam there and back, it'd be a pretty cool story I could always use. And that's the reason why I did it, for these purposes alone. So yeah, I just swam there. Really, I wasn't even a big swim there and back. It took like 30 seconds. So that is true. And then the last one for me is the turkey vulture thing. Was I'm riding my bike on a road, right? And I see these two turkey vultures eating whatever's on the ground, roadkill. And I'm like, all right, well, they're on my right side. So I'm thinking, all right, if I go real left, I'm going to miss them completely. So I'm just cruising in my tri bike in that position right here. And I'm like head down. I'm looking. And they're not really moving. I'm probably like 50 feet away. And they're still not moving. 25 feet away. One moves and moves to the right. So I'm thinking the other one's going to follow suit. But the other one did follow suit. It moved left, right into me. And I nailed this thing so hard that like whatever was eating, the guts were all over my body. The turkey vulture was like on the ground, like convulsing, and I thought it was dead. I was just like, what in the world? It got up and flew away. But I did crash into one, so that's pretty.
That's gross.
It is gross. What was I supposed to do? I thought I was really gonna miss it, and I knew I wasn't, and I just put my head down so my helmet would hit it, and it just hit it hard. I guess heat went up, and I hit it real good. But yeah, that are my stories there.
What was your best Ironman time?
Oh, best Ironman. What does that picture say? 11:52. No, 11:40. I think it's 11:45 in Florida. That one is in Arizona. So I did Maryland twice, Arizona twice, and one in Florida. Florida's pretty flat and windy, kind of like New Jersey. So that's why I try to pick flat and windy ones because it's where we live. But yeah, that was the best one.
Okay.
My worst one was the last one in 2019. I think that was 14 hours and change. 2 kids. It's not as easy as it was. So, but it was a good time. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm retired.
Yeah, I mean, what's it like doing that, man? For just moving for that long.
You know what? It's not as bad as you would think. Swimming, you're just trying to survive because now that they actually do you like every 5 seconds, you're in a line and they go, you go, you wait 5 seconds, the next person go. Mm-hmm. But some of them, you all start at the same time treading water.
It's a cluster,
yeah. So it depends on where you are. In Florida, it was like you were in an age group, like hundreds of you together. They say go, and your age groups are going, like you're running into the ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and it's chaotic. Like if you're not looking, you're gonna get hit in the face. People got knocked out. Like it's pretty quiet all over. Yeah.
Sounds like boot camp.
Yeah, so it's tough. And then the waves in the Gulf of Mexico, it's like it kept pushing you back out. So it's like you got a little bit, and then you got pushed back like 30 feet. It was like the worst. But right there, you're just kind of trying to survive the swim in each of those portions. So it kind of goes back quick because once you finally get a mile in, you separated yourself a little bit that you're not going to be so chaotic. Mm-hmm. And then you go into the bike, and the bike is pretty, open. It's really the run where you kind of meet like people. Like people are either walking with you, running with you, and you kind of talk about what, where they came from, why they're doing it. All walks of life, all weights, ages, everything. So I think that's pretty cool. So it helps time go. Yeah. Especially if you're trying to make a time, that helps it go along too. Yeah. So the first couple, it was more of me trying to make the time. Like I wanted to get a certain time. I wanted to be under, the first year I wanted to be under 12 or 13 hours. And then the second year I wanted to try to get 10 hours. I didn't get that. I didn't reach that 10 hours. 10 hours was crazy. But yeah, so it's more lonely training for it. Yeah. Because you train by yourself. So I would do 2 disciplines a day. So I would swim either in the morning because I just don't, I'm just lazy in the afternoons for swimming. And then I would do something in the evening around 8 o'clock. Because at that time I had my first son who was I think 3 or 4, and I just had my second son for my last one. When it was easier when I didn't have any kids because I could train for longer periods of time. And in the weekends it was really, I had to get up at probably 4, start riding, because I would probably do like a 6-hour bike and then like an hour, 2-hour run right after 6 hours out there. And then, if I start at 4, I'm gonna be done in the mid-afternoon, and then I have to come home and spend time with the family. So that was tough. Those are long days. Like you're just out there, just riding by yourself.
How long are you training for before each event? Like how many months?
3. probably 3 months was the last two. The first one I trained a little bit more because I went from doing one sprint 3 years before I actually did the Ironman, and then just going right to the Ironman. I skipped all the distances. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it all the way. So, but yeah, so that takes a lot of time, effort. So that's probably the hardest part is just doing it on your own, and trying to figure out how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to eat throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to eat on the bike. You got to, in the transition areas, you got to make sure that you're not sitting there for 40 minutes because that time counts.
Right.
They add that into your time. So that too. But I know it was a good experience. I had fun.
When you're doing the run, are you running the entire time, or do you have to stop and taking walking breaks?
That's all. Whatever your game plan is. So I knew the first time I did the Ironman, I did walk for a little bit. So what I did was, and this was just because I was forced to do it. Like my legs were just starting to cramp a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they had like aid stations every like mile.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew when you hit the aid station, the next one's a mile. So I would walk the first 45 seconds and then run to the next mile.
Oh, okay.
So I did that the rest of the way. The second one and beyond, I was able to run the whole thing.
Gosh.
So I kind of figured that out. But yeah, at those aid stations, man, it was like a buffet. You would eat everything and anything they had. Like you would eat, they had potatoes at one time. They got, once you get in the later parts of the run, you get soup, you get flat soda, probably the two best things in the world at that time. Like you just want that sodium to go into your body quick, and then that sugar to hit your body super quick. Even though it's like it only gives you like, I don't know, a 2-minute burst.
Yeah.
For those 2 minutes, man, you think you can finish the rest. And then they have everything and anything: candy, fruit, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, whole bunch of stuff that you could get there. I mean, they have everything and anything, and you just got to take advantage of it, and just figure out what works with you. And you carry your own stuff. It's like a similar of a bag that you carry around your waist. You have like that thing too. But yeah, but that was the Ironman story. That's pretty cool. I'm glad that I did it in the first half of like, before I hit 40, because now at this stage it's like I don't see myself being able to produce that much time.
Yeah.
And not even just the motivation.
Yeah.
After so many years and so many triathlons, it's like it's not that fun anymore.
I imagine that swimming, you train in a pool. You don't look at the ocean. It's cold in the winter time and stuff. But when you would do the competition, it would be in the ocean.
Some, it depends. It depends on where you go. So, Arizona, it was a man-made river or whatever it was. It's cold as hell though. I had the wetsuit. It was like, I don't know, 50 degrees, 40 degrees on the water. So yeah, you definitely had to wear a wetsuit. By the time you were finished, like your hands were like super numb. And it took you a minute to kind of get warmed up. And then in the Gulf of Mexico, it wasn't too bad. We had wetsuits because it met like the minimum temperature.
Yeah, well, water sucks the heat out of your body.
Yeah, so but it wasn't.
Water.
But it wasn't too bad. It was more the waves. And then Maryland again was good. The thing with Maryland was a bunch of jellyfish. A lot of people got stung with jellyfish. But yeah, so.
That probably kept you going though.
Yeah, I didn't get stung, but a lot of people said. I mean, it's like an annoying pain. I would imagine. But yeah, I think it was good. I think definitely helps you being a wrestler and then going into the Ironman. Like you have to be mentally strong, because there's just times just like me, you just want to quit. You've been out there for 12 hours. Most people are there for 10 to 12 hours. The pros are there; they're done like 5. So after all that time, yeah. Now I think like a full one probably 7-8 hours tops.
Yeah.
A half one, like 2-3 hours, 4 hours tops. I mean, they're going super fast. They're going like 40 miles an hour on the bike. They're swimming super fast. They're running like sub 6 minute miles.
That's crazy.
It's super crazy. Just when I saw the Olympics, they're doing the Olympics. The Olympics like a quarter of the Ironman, and those guys are just finishing in like an hour. So that's crazy.
What sets those people apart? What's going on in the mind, genetically?
I think for me it was just it's hard to do 3 disciplines and be good at all 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're probably more experienced in one, but then you got 2 other ones. Like for me, for example, I had to learn how to ride a tri-bike.
Yeah.
The last bike I rode was a mountain bike, and I barely rode it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So to learn how to ride a tri-bike was the first one, and then learning how to ride with pedals clipped in. That's a whole different ballgame, because you know what I mean. Like normally, if you're on a mountain bike, you fall. Like if you have clips in, you're used to it. But if you don't, just take your footing. You know?
Yeah.
This is you got to clip out, and if you forget to clip out, you're falling right over.
Yeah.
So I remember learning how to do that, and then learn how to swim correctly. Like, you know, you swim, but like, are you breathing correctly? You're breathing on both sides. Like, I remember I had to teach myself that too. And then just being able to eat while running and eat on the bike and figuring all that out. I think that is just that was the fun of trying to figure all those dynamics out, those disciplines out. The one thing I never figured out was going to the bathroom on the
I
bike.
was gonna ask you that.
I couldn't. I tried several times. It just didn't happen.
I
just
can't
let it go?
imagine.
One time I had to hold it in until I found the rest stop, and it was like 30 miles I had to ride. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna make it. But no, I couldn't get it down. It's just you guys got to be super relaxed. I just couldn't do it.
I can't imagine how it's physically possible.
No, people do it all the time, like
Really?
all the time. It's just, you know, this is how they do it. Run on leg, and they wash it off with their water. You know, because I mean, if you're trying to win, that you can't be stopped at a porta potty and going to the bathroom.
I do that all the time, but just because, you know.
I mean, I wasn't trying to win. I was like, all right, I'm trying to figure it out.
When I
So-
have it together, I win.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it was fun. It was a fun time. My wife went with me on a lot of them. Nico, my oldest, he went with one. I don't think he remembers. So I told him, I was like, yeah, if they ever wanted to do one and they asked me to do one with them,
That'd be cool.
that'd be the only way I would do it. But if they said they want to do one and never asked me to do one, well, I'm content watching them because I know what that takes, and it's not.
All right, so we're pushing 60 coming out of retirement.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of older individuals who run and do the Ironman. You get 17 hours, you can bang that out, man. It's I mean, it'll be tough, but people still do it.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
But yeah, it's a good time. I think it's it's a different vibe from what wrestling was. Because I mean, I went from wrestling, I tried a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and then I was kind of lost. And then I was like, all right, well, let me try this Ironman thing. And I spent like 10 years in the Ironman scene, or at least trying to. That's because, shout out to Mike, Ironman Mike. So Mike and I used to work at Merck for their corporate fitness center. And he would always be like training for these Ironmans. He was 10 times better than me. Mike Marstar. And we would always think he was so crazy. Like, what are you doing, man? What'd you do this weekend? 8 hours on the bike, 2 hours swimming. Like, dude, what are you doing? And then, like, I was like, all right. And after like a year or two of hearing him, I was like, all right, well, let me try one. And then I ended up doing one, so it's kind of funny in hindsight. But all right, so that were mine. And obviously, the lie I said was the marathon. And then let's go to Bob. Let's go to Coach Bob here and check out what his were.
Adam's next here.
All right, Adam, let's go to Coach Adam. He's next.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Adam has like, I think every one of his truths or lies could be a movie in itself.
They all sound like
They
lies.
all sound. He said it today. He's like, he has so many stories that they all sound like lies, and clearly, like all these, even his lie has some kind of basis truth to it. So I'm gonna give it to Coach Adam to
I've
kind of let it
proof all
go.
these things, so they're not lies. Okay, so I'll go in timeline order. So when I was a young guy, I played in bands, had real long hair. In fact, I gave up wrestling to play in bands.
And stay tuned for the next episode. We're gonna show a picture of Adam with his hair as he is explaining it, because there is one. I've seen it on Facebook. Now that his Facebook profile is gonna blow up now.
Oh, I got better pictures than that.
Oh, we go. So next time we'll have a picture up for you.
Yeah, so yeah, I played in a lot of bands. Up until quite recently, I played in bands, and my last band was with guys I've known ever since middle school, which is pretty cool. Our last concert was about 2 years ago. It was less than 100 people at that, but in 2004, we played at like a big festival type concert, and there were several thousand people. I don't know the exact number, but there were quite a lot. So that's my long hair story. Then after that was living in the jungle.
Oh, so you live in the jungle thing. One, you have to explain why were you living in the jungle, and two, what was the hardest part of living in the jungle? I imagine it's like so many things would be so hard.
You know, okay, so I had an opportunity to travel out of the country and go to Belize, which I'd never been out of the country before. I said, I'm going to do that. And I went for a month, and I lived in this little hut with like a grass roof, and it was infested with scorpions and stuff. And I had no running water or electricity or a phone or anything like that. And I was there for a month, and I hated it. Couldn't stand it. I had an outhouse. And my last day in the country on that first trip there was, I opened up the outhouse door and the most poisonous snake in the country was like in my outhouse, and I run and the toilet paper's flying off. And I go in my house, and my little hut, and I slam the door, and there's like this huge tarantula on the wall, and I freaked out. And when I came home, I couldn't wait to leave. And when I came home, I said, that's the coolest thing I ever did. I can't wait to go back. So got friendly with the people that had taken care of me down there, and found me a place to stay. And I had my next house with no running water or electricity or anything like that. And I lived on and off in Belize for about 5 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just back and forth. This close to being illegal there. I'd push it as far as I could until I'd have to come back. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I just stopped going because I needed to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Started traveling other
How
places.
old were you?
My mid-20s, I think. My last time there was August 1998. So I would have been 30 the last time I was there.
Okay.
So could you do that now?
Yeah, I could.
You could?
I could.
Off the grid? No.
You get used to it
It's
fast.
a dream, man.
You really get used to it quick.
I mean, to a point, man. I don't know. I'm a little used to
You
running
know,
water
I'm
at this
sure-
point.
Where I lived there is probably completely different now.
Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Like I used to walk up to these Mayan ruins. It was called Chinantunich. It was not fully excavated. I'd go up there and like sit up there every day with my little music computer and my headphones. It was battery operated, and I'd look out. 1,000 years before that, if I was up there, I'd probably get my head cut off. I know you're not allowed to climb on it now, so did it at an optimal time. So actually, right after I came back from there in August 1998, I started working at the NFL September 1st, 1998. I think it was September 1st or September 2nd. And I worked in the NFL Films building. I worked for NFL Films, NFL.com, and NFL Network. I wrote computer software for them, which actually came from learning how to program music, which I was very fortunate that, my bad choice of a career move turned into something positive. I worked there for more than 20 years, and the last more than a year I worked directly for the league, not for NFL Films or NFL Network, NFL.com. It's all like one big family anyway. I just worked in the same building. Then I was part of like the core Super Bowl group. I would have to make sure everybody had their job assignments. I'd like write applications, they'd make their travel arrangements, job assignments, be able to contact everybody, and all that. Basically anything that had to do with working at the Super Bowl was my responsibility, so people could find themselves, even down to feeding them. And so if you wanted to go to the Pro Bowl and you weren't assigned to go to the Pro Bowl, you would have to basically write to somebody and say, look, I need to go to the Pro Bowl because I have to do this, and it's kind of like a treat to go to the Pro Bowl. And this one particular year, I was either going through my divorce or just getting divorced. I said, well, how great would it be to throw my wedding ring in a volcano, in a live volcano, and like basically document the whole process like Lord of the Rings. And so I was hoping that the person at the NFL that had a sense of humor would like approve me to go.
Wait, so you wrote that as the reason you had to go?
Yeah, on the thing for going to go to the Pro Bowl. I said, so I can throw my wedding ring into a live volcano. I was declined. They didn't let me do it.
Oh man, whoever declined this guy, that's party foul, man. Party
I
foul.
don't know. I thought it would have been cool.
I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. That was funny.
Yeah, no, but, so that was my lie. I wanted to do it. I just didn't get to.
Didn't get to it, so it's partially true. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Do you have a family beliefs that we don't know about?
I know.
No,
right?
I don't. No.
Little Adam's running anywhere. Oh, but yeah, man. His stories alone, outtrump mine, and so does his. So let's go to Coach Bob over here and get down his stories, which are crazy too.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So, all of my three truths are related to my time in the Navy. I guess the first one, I circumnavigated the Earth in a 6-month trip between air and sea. And that journey started, I was 21. I just graduated boot camp, and I was assigned to my ship, which was already deployed in the Gulf, in the Persian Gulf. So from San Diego, I flew halfway around the world to Bahrain. That was the last destination. I mean, it was the longest flight I've ever been on in my life. I feel like I was in the air for like 24 hours straight. It was nuts. We get to Bahrain, and from Bahrain we take a helicopter to the ship, and it was an amazing experience. I looking back, I would say one of the coolest naval experiences like a sailor could have, man. Just to be flown out to the ship and just hop out of the helicopter and your sea bags thrown out after you, and it's like, welcome to the Navy. I don't think most sailors got that experience. The ship had left from San Diego. That was the home port. So, but yeah, I got to the ship that way. So I flew halfway around the world, and then I spent 6 months at sea, doing our stuff in the Gulf, going in and out, whatnot. And then once the deployment was over, we headed back home to San Diego. We kept going, around. We went through the Pacific, and that's how I got back to San Diego. So went full circle around in 6 months. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I get to see that. Who was that? Magellan who did that? Right?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, it was Magellan.
Yeah, right, yeah. So, and maybe that was a cool experience. We up to many ports, saw a whole bunch of countries: Bahrain, Dubai, India, Singapore, a little tiny country called Brunei, and Australia, and then Hawaii too. Hawaii is the first and last port visit a ship hits when they leave California. They're heading out, they hit Hawaii, get last minute supplies, and then they're coming home, they hit Hawaii, so all the deck seamen like myself can hang over the side of the ship and paint it up nice and pretty for the homecoming. Hawaii's a strange place. It's even though it's the U.S., it still seemed very foreign. It was pretty, but it didn't quite feel like the U.S. It was beautiful though.
It's so different from the country.
Very different. Yeah, very different. Yeah. But that was. I went around the world, 6 months. Once took a nap on a crate of explosives.
And you knew this was there?
Oh yeah. So I was in deck department, and I was a deck seaman when I was on the ship, and to basically sum it up, that's like old school Navy stuff, heaving around moored lines and dropping anchors and just chipping paint and swabbing the decks. That was my day job when I was on the ship, and the deck seamen were known for just like skating off and just like finding a little place to take a nap during the workday. So I mean, you found a hole wherever you could. I can't. And you just climbed in, you took a nap, and hid for a little while, and you got back to work. And I was on the way back. Yeah, so it was on the way back home. I was on a Marine transport ship, so we had picked up the Marines from their deployment in Iraq, and they come on board with all their crap, all their gear, their vehicles, and explosives and whatnot, and their armaments. And down in the bottom of the well deck area where it's all stored, it's just crates just piled up on each other, and it's nice, quiet, dark area. No one's around.
The best spot to sleep.
Yeah, man. Just crawl up and they just take a nap.
Do not try this at home or anywhere else.
I don't think anybody else wanted to be around it.
No, maybe.
So you wouldn't get caught.
Dude, I'm sure there's other people around sleeping too.
So dark and tough.
Yeah,
oh, man.
But that was the thing, man. You got naps in when you could. They were long days.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the ship. You had a 16-hour workday. You get a couple hours for lunch, a couple hours for dinner, and usually for lunch, I eat real quick and then take a nap, like in my rack, and then for dinner, like I'd get my workout time in there, and then they kept us working. Deck department, like real old school, working for the sake of working. So they didn't like it. They didn't like giving us downtime. But like the day would end like around 8 o'clock. But then you might have a watch to stand for 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the night. Your lookouts, forward lookout, aft lookout, and just rotating around. So they were long days, but it was a cool experience, man. It was the best thing I ever did. hated the day sometimes during it, you know. But it was cool, man. You'd be like in the middle of like the Indian Ocean somewhere, just on the decks, just shooting the shits with your buddies, just painting, just talking about life. It was a cool experience. Yeah, and I saw some really cool things, countries, good thing, man. But the next one is place the Medal of Honor on a hero. So that was after I got off the ship. I was on a different command, and this is actually a pretty cool story. This is really cool. So we had a Medal of Honor recipient come and give a speech to the command, and his name was Sammy Davis. He was in the Army, and in the Vietnam War. He came in and he told the story of what he did, and he saved a whole bunch of people. A true American hero, and like all those guys, they're so humble. They're like, I don't deserve this, but he was a hero, and the story he told was amazing. And towards the end of the story, he said, "Hey, about this time, I'm gonna take the medal off and I'm gonna pass it around." So he took it off and he passed it around, and everybody in the room got to hold it. It's going around, and he's still talking, and the medal comes back up to his assistant, and he's like, "All right, now I'm gonna have the most junior service member in the room come up and put this back on me." And everybody's looking around, and everybody's trying to figure it out. And I look back and I see this crusty old Master Chief looking at me. He's like, "That's you, buddy." Like, okay. So I walk up, and I take the medal, and he turns around, and I pin it back on him, clasp it on, and he turns around, and we salute each other, and that was it, man. It was so cool.
That's
dude.
pretty dope, yeah.
And then I sit down, and that same old Master Chief, he leans over, he's like, President Johnson pinned that on him, right? I'm like, whoa.
It's crazy. It's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Man.
that's
Yeah.
I don't know anybody. A lot of people even have something like that.
To even handle that, you know? Yeah, to be able to handle something as important as that,
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it was a really, really good experience. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But so the lie, majored in gender studies. I just thought that would be like an obvious, like,
not
joke,
so obvious.
like you look at the other three and it's like, this guy did all these things. He's gonna major that.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was the truth.
No.
Up there early this morning, I were practicing this morning, and I was like, "Yeah, which one is Bob's lie?" And he told me but it was like, "Oh man, for the longest time I thought it was the truth."
I
I must have not been paying attention, like when he was saying like which one was the truth and lie. I really thought it was the truth. I mean, it is what it is. People are interested in those topics, but
not me.
But apparently not.
Not me. No.
So I think one of the things we wanted to really do was just kind of show like the walks of life that you kind of hit on and off the mat, because regardless of what you're doing, you hit a whole bunch of different type of people, and it's pretty cool to hear their stories. And I think it's one of the things we want to do at Matt Burn is not all of us are from wrestling backgrounds, not all of us ever wrestled. Some of us are coming from they just want to be active. Some have never doing it. Some have experience. Some haven't wrestled in 30, 40 years. So it's good to see where everyone's from and just kind of see, hey, we're not just who we are in that room. We're different people with different experiences, and I think it's pretty cool to kind of get to know everyone that aspect. So that's pretty much the coaches. If you have any further questions, hit us up in the comments, and we'll be able to answer any details from specifically their stories, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna have some other stories with Bob and Adam. All right, so let's go to the easy question first. How did you get into wrestling?
Okay. When I was a kid, I had to play a sport every season. I didn't really have a choice. I had to play football in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring, and then swimming and diving in summer. I hate swimming, by the way. Can't stand it. I was good at it, but I can't stand it. So, but the worst was basketball. I couldn't stand basketball. And I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. My mom says to me, instead of basketball, do you want to do wrestling this year? I didn't know what wrestling was. I said, if I do wrestling, I don't have to do basketball? And she said, yeah, you don't have to do basketball. I said, yeah, I'm doing wrestling. And so I got really good at it, so I never had to do basketball again. But it got to the point where I started liking wrestling so much that there was wrestling season back then. There was a summer season of Greco and freestyle. So then swimming and diving fell off to take more wrestling, and then I said, well, in the springtime I got to get ready for the summer. So then baseball fell away, and then eventually football fell away, and it was just wrestling year round.
Nice. You feel like, I mean, nowadays a lot of kids just do one sport. Do you feel like the fact that you did at multiple stores prior to just focusing on wrestling helps you in the long run?
Yes, because that made wrestling really be what I liked. I was able to say, I don't like this at all. I don't like this as,
Experience.
But I liked baseball and I liked football. Obviously, I worked for the NFL for a long time, But yeah, it's nothing quite like wrestling. It's different, and it's definitely made me disciplined for my whole life, for sure. Even when I didn't do it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I come from the family of wrestlers from both sides. My mom's family, they were very involved in wrestling, as was my dad's. My dad was a wrestler. His brothers, and I'm very. It's like in me. My mom's father, my grandfather, he was a coach at Gloucester County for 30 years or so. And his brothers, my uncles, they wrestled, and it's something that I always had. I started when I guess I was 5, and I wrestled from 5 all the way through high school, and I didn't really do anything else. I did baseball when I was a kid. I think I stopped when I was 10. I didn't like it. It wasn't very good. I think it was too slow for me. Really one of those ADD kids.
I mean, I can see how baseball is.
Yeah, but yeah, by the time I got to high school, that's the only thing I did. I did track a couple years in high school, and that was actually a lot of fun. Doing track after the intensity of the wrestling season, it was a nice change of pace, and it was just myself and a couple buddies. We were just pole vaulting, so we were just hanging out. Yeah, they need the team. Yeah, they need the points. Yeah, they were losing those points, but yeah, wrestling was always a part of me and the family. I remember as a little kid going to college matches. He coached, my grandfather, he coached at Gloucester County, so I would go to all the cool matches with him. He would take me up to West Point when they wrestled then, and Kutztown. And, it was a cool experience seeing all that and just being a part of it, and just like when you're on a wrestling team, like it's such a tight team. I don't know. I'm just saying that from somebody who really only had experience wrestling. I'm sure other teams you have that too, but for me, the team is so tight.
It's different.
It's
different than other sports.
Yeah.
It's more like I don't like compare it to. I was never in the Army, but I compare it to being like, because everybody's going through the same thing, no matter how good or bad they are. Everybody's putting in the same workout, doing the same thing, and it's just everybody's friends on the wrestling team.
Yeah.
And you would find that you'd even be friends with other kids on other wrestling teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd wrestle other kids, and like you get to know each other and see each other at the same tournaments, and I know even like Ava, my daughter, she's friends with other girls that she wrestles, and actually pretty good friends with some of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a community for sure, man, and you get so much from it. And for me, I was just an average wrestler, just across the board, just average. But just even being an average wrestler, like any wrestler, the top, average, the bottom, like you take so much from it forever. Like you see your mindset, like it just changes your mindset, and it's just go for it, man. Just doing hard things like that,
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was nothing. I don't know. My family never wrestled. My dad's an immigrant from Colombia. My parents both are. So I used to watch WWF as a kid. Hulk Hogan era. And I loved Hulk Hogan. But I also loved the Steiner brothers. And the Steiner brothers were tag team wrestlers. And they had the singlets. And one of them had the headgear. And they were like from Michigan. So from that day point, I wanted to go to Michigan. I wanted to wrestle, thinking that wrestling was the WWF. So mind you, I was like 8 at the time. And at that time, they didn't have like youth wrestling near us. It was like super far. My parents were going to be driving. Like there's nothing local. So I never started wrestling until the 6th or 7th grade. But at that point, I had stopped watching wrestling, and then they were like, "Oh, well, why?" I wanted to do something besides soccer. I was getting tired of soccer, and I need something else. So they gave me a paper of wrestling. Oh man, I remember I used to love watching. I want to be Hulk Hogan and the Steiner brothers. So I was like, all right, I went in there. So I asked my dad. He's like, all right, I don't know anything about wrestling. I was like, sign me up. And he signed me up, and whew, man, it was nothing like what I thought it was initially. I must have went I think I went one in I don't even think I won a match that first year. And my mom went to the first match ever. I remember I got torn up. Oh man, I must have lost. I know I got pinned, but it was one of those things every period I was just on my back, getting manhandled. Mom never came to another match until Matt returned.
Yeah.
She came to that match. She came to that tournament, this past one, which I was surprised she doesn't come to any of that. And then once I started wrestling, then it was just I really liked it. I think I enjoyed more of just being by yourself. Then I'm a pretty introvert person to begin with, but being by yourself, you don't really have to in soccer. I played soccer too throughout high school and a little bit of college. You can make mistakes and people can cover for you, or you can make a play and other people make a play. It's like a team thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in wrestling, it's you can lose as a team, but you can still win, or you can lose individually and your team still wins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you always have to play a role, because let's say you win if you don't get pinned. Maybe you don't win, but you didn't get pinned. You actually helped your team win.
Yep.
So there's obviously roles and things of that nature that kind of humbles where you're at. But I also felt like you're just out there. There's no one to blame out there except you. Mm-hmm. And even to this day, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? You're out there, you can hear your corner or your coaches say something, but if you're not doing it, that's your fault, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I really got into wrestling, was that. And then it took off. And I just enjoyed the grind of it. Just the hard work, discipline that it took into it. So that's how I really got into wrestling, and then learned everything from there. But yeah, no, my dad's straight soccer. His brothers all soccer, and that's how I grew up with. I didn't know what it was.
What are you doing, son?
At first he didn't. He was interested in it. At first he came to every match. He comes to every match. He's come to. If I wouldn't even lie to you, out of all these races that I've done, and there's over 200 here, 250 between here and what I have in my office, he's easily have come to maybe 200.
Wow.
And the other ones are just because they're local races, and I don't doesn't come out here for it. But any big race or any big event, he was he's been in all the Ironmans, most of them. I think he might have missed one. But yeah, anything, he's always been there.
It's tough for the moms to see their little kids get mangled.
Yeah, in the beginning, because eventually they get better. But yeah. But you know what? Having Santino start at such a young age, he gets beat. He was 1-13. Hopefully he'll be 2-13 this year. But the beatings aren't so bad. It's he falls over and then it depends 2 seconds later. It's not as bad. But once they get older, if you start at an older age, the beatings get a little visually worse, just because it's tougher, and the sport's more head to head. So I think it takes time to get used to that, specifically, because it's not like soccer or any other sport that it's a learning curve. You didn't hit the ball, you got t-ball, you got slow pitch ball, you got fast pitch. It kind of progresses as you progress. Wrestling's not like that. Wrestling, if you start at a certain age, it's and you're not getting people that are your same experience by chance. You get somebody who's been wrestling for 10 years, but just your weight. So I think that's an avenue. But yeah, mine all started with the WWF. And my kids' first ever is through the WWF. Mm-hmm. So in COVID, there's nothing much to do. And I've been trying to get Nico and Santino to wrestle. So I had, the first wrestling WWF thing I've ever seen was from my godfather. And he rented the Royal Rumble. One of these guys come out every 1 minute or whatever. So there's 30 guys in there. So I bought I don't know, from 1985 to 1998, each Royal Rumble, and we would watch it every night. These are all the old school guys. They would love it. They would sit there. They would just do you were a kid trying to wrestle each other, and that's the first experience they had with wrestling. And then when I switched Santino into wrestling, he had thought it was going to be Hulk Hogan, and he was gut hell about it. I'm gonna elbow, I'm gonna leg drop him, and I had to tell him, no, you can't do that. He's I can't do that. He's no, I can't punch him in the stomach. No, you can't punch him in the stomach. I can't jump off the top rope. No, you can't do any of that. He was so disappointed. But yeah, he seems to like it. So I think that aspect has helped him. because it's funny. It's funny how you start with like the WWF for me, and then you go into wrestling. You do your career, your professional life, and then you go back into wrestling in your later part of life, and then all the characteristics, all the things that you've learned, the discipline, always just it kind of just stays with you throughout.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty cool, and I wanted to instill that in our kids, my kids. So I thought it was pretty cool. But I don't really watch the WWE very much. My kids sometimes do. But anytime I find like something nostalgic, like you'll see some of these little action figures right there.
Yeah.
I just bought 2 new ones of the Steiner brothers. As soon as they come in, they're gonna go right here, so you'll see them. Because man, that was it. They had I wanted to go to Michigan so bad because they had the Michigan Letterman jacket, and they would wear it out. And the one had the headgear on, and they all had the singlets on, like colorful singlets, kind of like our pink, but they were like really colorful. And I was like, oh man, it's just so dope.
Yeah, well, I went through a WWE phase in middle school, and it would just turn into myself and our buddies in the backyard, just reenacting everything, throwing each other through tables and chairs.
One of my friends and I used to go to every time it was at the Spectrum. Remember the Spectrum?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the Spectrum.
I do remember that. I was not ever there, but I do remember.
We went to every event. It was once a month.
Yeah,
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
And my buddy John that comes to Matt Byrne, he did amateur wrestling for a while too.
Yes, we gotta get
As an
John.
adult,
We're gonna
yeah.
get you on here, John.
Yeah.
So we would like to see your take. Cause
They were
considering
fun shows, man.
Really?
They were a lot of fun. Yeah.
You remember King Kong Bundy?
Oh,
Yeah.
He was like had something to do with Thetford High School, like a gym coach or
I
something.
believe he went to Gloucester County College.
Really?
Don't quote me, but I think he wrestled for my grandfather.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I believe he had a twin brother, and that one of the two of them
Yeah.
had something to do with Thetford for sure.
Yeah, he's from
King Kong
yeah.
had a twin brother.
I believe so.
John, if you're here listening to this, confirm if this is true.
I do know he's from around this
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
So transitioning from this to WWE wrestling, pro wrestling, what do you guys think you need to like add or change to make wrestling more watchable and mainstream? Like, because you really just have like a niche. I don't even know if you guys really watch international wrestling or college wrestling like that, to be honest with you
Not
guys.
often.
So like I watch a lot of wrestling. Like I watch college wrestling, Olympic wrestling, international wrestling, even some high school stuff because I just like enjoy watching it. But it's like it can be boring, man. It can. Like, so what do you think would need to change or we need to add so that people are like, all right, I want to watch this. So Friday night, let's watch some wrestling.
If it was more colorful, like
Elaborate,
okay, let's say.
because you're an entertainer. You're an entertainer. You would know.
So okay, like at a regular wrestling match, like the high school wrestling,
Okay.
they announced the varsity team and who's pairing up against who, which is pretty cool. We call that like intro music.
Okay.
Like each person come in, call their name. That might be cool. Like something
A little
cool.
more flair.
And
It's a little bit more flair, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
And like if you knew you were wrestling somebody in an event, like if you could actually kind of like do like boxers and UFC fighters who like taunt each other and like have like those.
So make it more of a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna be able to do that with the kids, high school, college, but I think we can with the adults. Because I'm thinking like, so wrestling was like the oldest sport, man. Like you go back to, the gladiator days, the Coliseum days. People loved it. They just gathered around. They went wild. They're just throwing back beer and wine and just going nuts.
Isn't that the craziest thing though? Is that wrestling is the oldest sport, right? But it hasn't progressed into the mainstream. Football started out, and now look where it is. Basketball. Heck, the WNBA now with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, like that's even picking up steam. And every sport has kind of.
Is it though?
It is. It is. I mean, I know this past college tournament, I was watching more women's basketball than I even watched the men's.
Yeah.
Because just to watch, all these all-stars coming through.
You know what with wrestling, other than WWE stuff, there's, as far as I know, there's no professional leagues out there. Like
Not now. So there was, because I just saw it on YouTube the other day. It was that they had college guys, obviously they finished college, they entered the wrestling, and it was, a wrestling match. It was a professional wrestling. It didn't kick off, but again, it had that like hard, disciplined vibe to it. It didn't have like that flair or that like entertainment value. Maybe that's why, it didn't really last very long.
our idea, hosting a match at like a VFW or something like that. I think that's where it is, man. Everybody's just surrounding the mat.
So, in case you don't know, this
Drinking
is
beer.
Bob's and Adam's idea. I am on board, but I'm a little skeptic on it. So we're having Clash of the Titans. Or Clash, I keep saying Titans. Clash of the Spartans. We're all Spartans. Mind you, for now, we all teach, we all coach. And actually, I'm a Spartan. I graduated from Springfield High School in Montgomery County, which is Springfield Spartans. So, obviously we're going to have our, 6 to 8 matches. We're talking about what to make it more entertaining, and we're going to apply a lot of things that, we're talking here today about to this. But let's talk about it. If we decide to do another event, which we will, obviously, we're gung-ho, we think it's going to be personally successful, and we go to a VFW platform, are we like just entering like the bar fight-esque, like, kind of odd?
No, because we'll have a real referee.
Like, what's that movie with
Clint Eastwood?
No, it's he's a bouncer, Swayze. He's a bouncer.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Are we entering like a Roadhouse kind of deal?
Well,
like
no, it's not gonna be like Roadhouse. Where like ripping each other's throats out.
Then all the wild bar fights in there when we add into this vibe with the VFW,
I just think you created like a really fun, engaging atmosphere where everybody's like a part of the match. Everybody's letting loose. Drinking beer. You got a DJ going with music ripping. Maybe even have the music ripping while the match is going.
So that's a good avenue. I think that's something we need to do. But anyway, yeah. All right. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like that idea. I like it a lot.
And you just bring your 3-year-old daughter. Let's go to the VFW.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
All right.
Could.
All right.
Why not? I mean,
let us know in the comments. What do you guys think?
I mean, you wouldn't take a 3-year-old to like a bar. So no, I mean but like
what I mean,
but you would take your like a reasonably aged kid,
to an event. I mean,
it's an event. It is an event.
The reason we have it at a VFW or something, so guys can drink beers or whatever and eat. Like we can't do that when we have it like it.
So you're saying to make it more of a mainstream in terms of what we're really trying to do is put it into a more energetic vibe with the music, make it a show. So one of the things that we've been doing is we're a show. We are, constantly doing on social media is that we're the show because we want to make it fun. We have music going, we have a good time there, laughs and whatnot, and we're trying to do, try to bring wrestling into the recreational space, and that's the way to do it is to have fun. And I think, Clash of the Spartans is that's what it's for, is to really just promote wrestling as a recreational sport. As you get older, that you can do it just like you do golf. Or you do, any kind of sport. I mean, I just saw people were playing tackle football at the age of 30, 35, 40. Like, wrestling's not at that level.
No way, man.
But at the same time, it can be done. So what else? All right, so we got music. We got a more adult atmosphere for them in terms of the beverages aspect of it.
I'm just thinking now. Round.
No, we're not having no. I draws a line.
Period it out.
Period
two.
You know what wrestling does, at least in amateurs. There's not like a champion that's like like the one that people like want to have a match against. I want to challenge this person. That would be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Like boxing. There's always a champ at a different weight class.
Yeah.
You make it like the Kumite from Bloodsport. You love your Kumite.
You could. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I think we're gonna test it out. I think it will be good. I think it'll be fun. Let us know if you guys would be down with like another event to the VFW. Having some beers, gets a little lively in there. Next thing you know, we'll be our own betting company. Taking bets on Skill Alley. Taking bets. But I think that's like one of the avenues is, I think what you've nailed it too, is like bringing like flair, bringing like personality to the actual wrestler. One thing a lot is I feel like, even when we were young, but even now too, is like wrestlers don't have that big of a personality, not as many. And if they do, like it's kind of frowned upon. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Pat Downey. He has a personality. Like it's a good personality. Rubs people the wrong way because he's just different. He doesn't go with like the grain. And sometimes I think the wrestling community frowns upon that, but I think that brings people to watch. You know what I mean? You got to have like just in wrestling, you got to have what the baby faces and the heels. I think that's
Yeah,
the
I was
correct
gonna
terminology.
say the heel. Yeah.
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 So, John, hold us true if that's the correct terminology.
No, it is. Yeah. It is. I learned it from John.
Oh yeah, all right,
Yeah.
so we're on board. Yeah, so I think like having like that kind of stuff going back and forth. I mean, in a friendly aspect, because obviously, people can get serious. Sometimes you watch like the boxing or the MMA stuff, and like they're getting a little too serious. And I understand it's a professional sport; it's what they got to do. They got to bring more money into it. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool to kind of bring more eyes and be like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I don't want to watch wrestling tonight. Something good on. So, but I think adding some of these concepts would really help do that. Because I just feel like, wrestling. I mean, some of the matches, even that I commentate for those 30 seconds, like, are entertaining because it's only so long.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get longer matches, there's probably going to be a lot of downtime. I think a good match was Danny and Mike Sunosian. I think I got your last name right, Sunosian. It was a good match, but it's like for the person who's never seen wrestling, it might not feel like it was a good match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's the commentating too that has to play a role. So I'm working on that.
Yeah, people don't really understand the rules either. Like they just don't know what it is. Like they don't know what.
So should wrestling change the rules?
I don't think
Or some
wrestling
rules?
needs to change the rules really. I mean, some rules just got changed. Points got changed.
But that's on the high
push-outs.
school level. But I'm talking about like, what if should wrestling go into freestyle? Is freestyle more entertaining? It's more points. It gets more points.
More points and it's quicker. It's got
More
a faster
pace.
pace. But I personally like folk style better than freestyle.
But folk style, okay. But is folk style more entertaining than a freestyle match? For the new person, not for the experienced wrestler. For the new person coming and watching the sport for the first time. If we had a group of 10, never seen wrestling, what would you think is more entertaining?
I don't know. It's hard. Like when I look at freestyle's changed already. When I was a kid and wrestled freestyle, there was the top and the bottom. That doesn't even exist anymore.
There was a top and a bottom in freestyle?
There was, yeah. Yeah, you would get bobs and the person on top get like that on your back. And basically, your job was to get up and out, and their job was to try to get you down. So it was, but it was like more of a sprint than it is now with somebody
On top there,
Yeah.
gotcha.
It was very loose. That existed when I was a kid. So that's changed because I know they wanted to speed it up. But it's just, I think it's almost too fast. You get somebody like the match is over.
Well, I can see that.
But what I do like though is different point values for the different kinds of takedowns, for the quality of the takedown.
Okay.
And like I don't remember a lot of my matches, but the one match I remember I was wrestling Greco. It was for first or second. It was for the entire East Coast, and I got what we called back in the day souffled. Now they call it suplexed, and I was thrown over the guy's back, landed right on my shoulders, and was instantly pinned. I mean, that was. I mean, it was. But otherwise, if I wasn't instantly pinned, he would have got 5 points for the throw. Whereas, regular takedown would have been 2 points.
So you're thinking, could folk style be more entertaining? Because I mean, now now you got 3 points for the takedown.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's obviously giving more incentive to the person being more
I
aggressive.
like that.
And they're only giving you 1 for the escape. So now, like, if you took the person down, they escape. It's 3-1. It's still a good buffer.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think they should just give you points depending on the type of takedown you're taking to be more entertaining, or should they add in some freestyle point systems?
Yeah, well, freestyle would have it was a technique to get somebody down for
Yeah.
5 points. Where even beach wrestling,
Or if you do feet the back,
yeah,
get more points.
Yeah.
All right. What else? What else do we think? I really think that personalities. I think sometimes it's not even it's not even the wrestler. It might be just the school or the people are frowned upon or they don't think to do it. I think it does play a role is to kind of bring that that showmanship.
Yeah.
All other sports have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every sport has it.
Mm-hmm.
Every sport. I mean, regardless. Golf even has it when they do like a solid putt, like how much energy they show. I feel like you don't really see that unless you're watching the NCAA championships, the finals. Like then the kids or the semifinals too. Like that's when you get excited. I All right.
Can you have a tag team folk style match? Is that possible?
I mean, tag team. Now
That
we're
would be
just
interesting.
going right into the realm. So here, so this is what I've been thinking. I've been thinking about this so hard. Is I really want to do 2 rounds, 3-minute rounds. First round is straight up wrestling.
Mhm.
Second round is straight up jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then you score it overall. So the point system would be, and guys, let me know what you guys think about the point system. This is the initial thought. Is that in the first round of wrestling, be straight wrestling, you get 3 points for a takedown. You get it's all the same, 2 points for a reversal, 1 point for escape, and pin. If you pin, that's 6 points that you get onto your score.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go into the second round and say Bob pins me, he's 6 points. He didn't score any other points, he's pinned me off the bat. So he's up 6-0 the next round. Second round is jiu-jitsu based. So that means you get still 3 points for a takedown.
Mm-hmm.
You get 6 points if you submit the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still would get 1 point or 2 points for reversal. And then you would get scored on the overall score of the 2 periods. I think I'm pretty excited about that. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, mixing 2 different things.
Because I always want to see who's better at which discipline. But meaning, like, if you're predominantly a wrestler coming out and you start jiu-jitsu, like for myself, I'm predominantly a wrestler, but I'm coming into jiu-jitsu. I would say my wrestling is my backbone, so I would be more of the wrestler. As opposed to someone who's doing jiu-jitsu and now they're a good wrestler, who would be better at the other discipline.
I think that'd be.
I mean, they've done something along those lines. I know Pat Downey and Gordon Ryan did something along those lines. But it wasn't really scored as a whole. It was scored individual.
I would love to do something
Rounds.
like that.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a good idea. I really want to do it. I have some people that have already talked about coming in, doing some jiu-jitsu for wrestlers, so we can start to prep for those types of things.
That'd be a great event.
Other rule is there'd be no heel hooks and ankle locks. Yes, I know everyone's going to be all upset about that, but no heel hooks, no ankle locks. I'm not a fan of them, but I just think just for safety reasons for the wrestlers and stuff like that. But knee bars and stuff like that, you're good to go. I'll even throw in wrist locks for everybody. But yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
I don't know what those things are, but I'm sure you've done them to me numerous
No,
times.
for wrestling. I'm not a big wrist lock. I've been wrist locked and I've been heel hooked and stuff. Not hard. Shout out to a bunch of guys from South Jersey Jiu-Jitsu who know what they're doing and really help you out. But yeah, so I think that big having like events like that kind of brings like some interest to it. It helps both sports grow. Because I mean, you see jiu-jitsu now. I mean, they just had 2 tournaments that are putting a lot of eyes on there because of personalities and obviously they're throwing a lot of marketing to it. But a lot of those guys have some kind of personality and that's how they're getting people to watch. So I think that's an avenue that we got to work on. Which brings us to our co-main event. Pop that picture up for me.
Here it is.
There it is.
Look at that.
There it is. So this main event is myself versus Gabriel Macholik. So the background between Gabe and I is we both wrestled on the same high school team. We were captains on the team. And we've been battling it out for nearly 20 years to see who's better, him or I. And he talks trash all the time. I get videos early in the morning. Like I'm running here. I just got one last 2 days ago, 5 a.m. He's in Croatia, overseas, doing his thing. Shout out to you, man. I can't wait to see you when you get back. And he's saying, I'm just grinding. What are you doing? I'm out here working. So I'm hitting him back. So we'll post some of those things up because we're talking trash back and forth. We wanted to wait till we officially announced it. We're excited. This will be the co-main event between the Scavelli boys going at it. So John, we're excited to get you on the show so you can tell us your prediction of what's going to happen in that match between you and your brother. So we'll get you on here next time. But yeah, so we have 3 matches. We have Scavelli brothers, myself and Gabriel, and then we have Doherty versus Keaton. And we are going to have a few more, I think 3 more matches we'll announce in the next upcoming weeks that we're excited to announce. It'll be November 9th at the Deptford Rec Center. We'll be streaming live Instagram, Facebook, and we'll have limited admissions. So let us know if you're interested in rolling through, and we can square that up. Again, should be a cool night, just to kind of promote wrestling as a recreation and get some bragging rights for the next year. So I'm excited about that. We're working on different matches, and we'll continue to do that. So I think the final thing we want to talk about is sports. So I was reading something the other day, and they were saying that how one of the best things for kids to do is play sports because it's the best place to fail. You know, you can go there, you can fail 100 times, and kids don't really, I mean, they get sad, but they kind of move on quickly, and they understand what to do. So that really got me thinking yeah, man, more adults should do that. More adults should play sports, even ones that they weren't good at, so they remember what it feels like to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like that's an avenue in which we tend not to do that often. And I think not because we don't, obviously, you don't like to fail, but in terms of like, if you don't know what it feels like to fail, do you guys think that kind of inhibits you from trying new things, risking to do new things? Like us doing mat burn, like that's a risk, man. That's like, we don't know what's going to happen, but it took me a long time to make the jump. I'm 42. And I told Bob, I was like, I think it took me this long because I needed all the experiences, all the tools to be able to pull something off like this, at least for me. But what do you guys think? Do you think, one, obviously, do you think it's a good thing to have, a good way to fail is in sports? And two, should adults really do more of it so they get an understanding of, what that may feel like, or remember what that feels like to kind of take a risk and try something new and be like, oh man, I don't know what's going to happen here, and maybe not come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's a way to experience failure, but in a very safe way that's not going to affect your life in a negative. It's not like failing at work or, like you're out there and you're doing something, you're trying. So even when you're failing, you're winning because you're doing something productive and you're learning,
Yeah, I think the whole notion of failing means you've done something hard. I think
Worth it, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I think there's too many adults who get complacent with their lives. They get busy with their lives, working, raising families, and they forget what it is to do something hard and physically demanding, whether that be wrestling or any other sport. And it's important to continue to do hard things as you grow older. Certainly as a child, because that's going to help you develop and become a strong human being. But I think you have to maintain that. You don't want to get complacent in life, so you have to force yourself to do hard things.
But not irresponsible things. Let's clarify.
Yeah.
I think not like financially, physically irresponsible. It's like, I'm just gonna leave my kids over here and just hope for the best. No, nothing like that. No. I think it's I hear you. So I just wanted to clarify.
But you said something to me that really changed the way I think about actually being on the mat. Was you said, people want to win, but a lot of people are afraid to lose.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid to lose, you're not going to take chances.
Yeah.
Which actually increases your chances of winning.
Yeah.
So if you fail trying something that, if you lose at it, but you're trying really hard, that's still very, really positive.
Yeah.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I certain point in my life, going through things, you know what it was? When I left my career to go into this.
It's a big thing.
Yeah,
That's huge, bro.
That's that's exactly what it was. Like I was gradually coming to the idea of walking away from my career in the federal government to pursue my passion in fitness and starting a business in fitness. And one of the final things I said to myself was, well, I'd rather die of failure than a coward.
Yeah, no, And talking to Adam about what I told him, it wasn't something that I just learned. It was something that took me forever to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I wrestled in high school and in college, it was more about I was conservative. And you guys will see it now. Like sometimes I just won't take any shots because that's just me being conservative. And it's just like I have to get out of that habit. Like I have to try to do things. Like,
I don't know, George. I hate
today.
wrestling.
Well, no, today. So today, that's
you're baiting us for stuff.
But today, Adam and I tried like something a little bit new. So we did 30 seconds on and 10 seconds off, and just constantly for 30 rounds.
Yeah, for a long time.
For 30 rounds. So it's like you're not going really hard, but in those 30 seconds, you want to make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So every 30 seconds, I was trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying like tripping. I was trying like other side, trying different things in those 30 seconds, so top and bottom. So I think that's one of the things that it took me so long to learn. It's just like
that reminds me. I tried something old.
All right. So now you gotta put it in a bucket or something. We have to get a jar.
Present it there.
We have to get a jar. So So Adam, we're working. So Adam hasn't. Well, he has, but he hasn't officially wrestled folk style match in a while. So we're trying to get him ready to go. And one of the things he has a habit on is grabbing a person's elbow when they're on top. So, we've talked about how he could use that, but he just tends to just grab and hold on to it. So I was so tired of watching this and so frustrated that I told him anytime he does it, he owes us $20, the group. So this was from today. So today we're wrestling, right? And he literally grabs my elbow right here, but his thumb was touching my elbow.
I don't know.
His thumb, and I was like, and I stopped the match and said, "Look where your thumb is." He didn't want to see it. Look where your thumb is. And then he finally is like, "It's on my elbow. You owe us 20. We're moving out." But now I have fixed it. So I said that if he holds the elbow and doesn't move within a second, then he owes us. But if he sits there for a second or more, then he'll owe us. If he moves before a second, then he doesn't. But that's for the first official $20. For the last $20, I gave him a mulligan.
I still don't know where that other one came from.
So I mean, we'll have it on video somewhere. But yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, taking more chances. It took me forever. It took me forever to learn that. Even as an adult now, I do it more because now it's just like you just want to have fun. I want to have fun, and I don't want to, think about. And I think what really bit me in the butt was when I did the mat return last year. And I just didn't do anything. I didn't take anybody down. I didn't try because I didn't want to lose. I ended up losing, I went 1-2. But in all those 3 matches, I didn't take one shot. I didn't do anything offensive. I waited the entire time. And I was more disappointed in that than the actual outcomes because it was like, I know I could show so much more, and what was the outcome? I lost anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or I've lost 100 times, so not 100, but I've lost pins, points. We're talking about how many times I've lost a 1-0. I've lost any kind of way there possibly is. So, I think that was a turning point for me. It was like, all right, if I want to try to do this more often at this age, I just got to have fun,
Well, certainly at the last mat return, you didn't have any problem going.
No, and even the match I did lose the 1-0, I attacked. I tried my hardest to get through, but I just couldn't, and it's fine. I was fine with it because it's like, hey, kudos to him. And I know, if he ever does see this, come on after Matt Burns. I'd love another rematch against you. But yeah, I'd rather go out trying everything I had, and I just wasn't dynamic enough. Yeah. And then I go back to the drawing board and figure that out. But at least I understood that, I gave it all I had. I tried everything, and it just wasn't.
You want to take yourself too seriously either.
Right? No, I just want to have fun.
Not so serious.
And I think that's the whole fun part.
You have the motto here.
Yeah, I think that's the whole fun part.
The last model I did in March, I'm just warming up on the side for my match. Just listening to my music, just laughing to myself. Like, dude, what are you doing here? You're this is great, man. You're just wrestling these kids, man. What's wrong with you, man? Just having fun with it, dude.
It is fun. I think, so the style I've been trying to really do is just let people come in or me come in and just try to wrestle more on the mat.
Yeah.
Because I just really, and I think that comes from jiu-jitsu now, so it's just you enjoy that challenge, that chess, and it's like, all right, well, if I go up, what happens? If he does this, what happens? I mean, Adam pinned me twice today. I was trying some stuff, and he caught me, and it is what it is. All right, it's over. 30 seconds. A new 30 seconds come on, a new game plan. Yeah. That didn't work. Scrap that. So I think that's pretty cool on just, as we get older, it's just, again, have fun.
Just have fun, man. Just can't take it too serious, man.
I'm having a blast with it early in.
And I think the one thing we did talk about was, and jiu-jitsu, and I think other martial arts have this in check, is, you got to leave your ego at the door. There's going to be guys that are better than all of us coming in just to practice a mat burn. It is what it is, and you just got to learn from it. And, if you're hurting, hey, your body needs a day off. You know what I mean? Or you're tired, take the extra rest.
I will say, I haven't seen any ego in our room at all. Everybody's just cool, man.
Yeah, so I'm not saying so much ego coming. I'm saying ego when you're facing each other and you don't want, you're wrestling each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For example, when you and I wrestle, sometimes you let me in and sometimes I let you in, and then we roll right there. It's not a big deal if one of us take each other down.
Usually I'm just laughing and talking smack.
Or the fact that when we do things like Spladle, that's just funny stuff. But that's just what I'm talking about. It's there's no ego there. No. Even if we were going to go
remember
forward.
You did something to me about 2 weeks ago, and I told you right on the mat, I said, I hate you, George.
You tell me. You literally tell me all the time, actually.
What's that thing you're doing to me now, like with your hand?
I can't give you all my secrets now because I can't
Oh,
have.
that's right.
I
yeah,
can't have Gabe over here because I know Gabe ain't grinding. Gabe, I'm gonna talk trash to you right now. I know you're not grinding as hard as I'm grinding. I just know that for a fact. I understand that he keeps telling me he's
Sneaky.
grinding. No. I know I'm working twice as hard as you, and we're gonna see it come November 9th. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so, but yeah, I think just enjoying it as you get older, and I think that's the longevity thing.
Yeah, dude, I'm loving it, man. I'm not hurt at all. Like my body's feeling good. You know, I know how hard I can push myself. I know when to back off. You know, if I'm in a bad position, you know, I just back off, man. I give it up, man. I'm not looking to fight people for positions in practice. You know, that's not why we're doing it. You know, we're there to, you know, work out, work our muscles out, and work our moves in that wrestling room.
Yeah.
You know?
Just get better.
Yeah.
I think I just want to get better.
Yeah.
Whatever that better is. I mean, I'm never gonna, you know, I think my knowledge is 100 times more than what it was when I was in my prime in wrestling. 100 times more. I may not be able to do the stuff like some things like I don't do. What is that? Not the Peterson, but the one you roll on your shoulders. The one I can't do.
The Granby.
Yeah, no, I've never been a Granby, but I tried it one time with Bob. I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
I'm
Like,
surprised you can't do that.
I can't do it.
I'm
I can't.
surprised, man.
I could not do it for the life of me. I mean, I knew what to do, but my body's just like, no, bro, this isn't any part of your game plan. And I'm fine with it. I mean, I think the same thing happens with jiu-jitsu. It's just some shit that you just can't do.
Yeah.
And you just got to adapt to what you can do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's pretty cool. I think we're doing a good stuff, and hopefully, you know, more of you guys come through. It's a good workout, especially the new fitness classes we have with Coach Bob that really just focus on your overall body, your functional skills, and a good workout. A 30-minute blast right there, and then we have the new open mat classes on Saturday as well. So we got the fitness class at 10:30, and then we have the open mat from 11 to 12 every Saturday, and then we're obviously adult wrestling on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Any final words, gentlemen?
I don't think so.
No, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Come check out the fitness class. It's a good workout. It's a great way to spend your Saturday morning. It's not too early. It's not at the crack of dawn. You know, you come in at 10 o'clock or 10:30 and just get a 30-minute workout done. You're done. You can stick around for the open mat, learn how to wrestle. You know, come check it out.
Clash of the Spartans, November 9th. We got a bunch of great matches. It's going to be a show. Scavelli boys are going to bring the heat. I know Gabe overseas right now, and him and I are going to bring the heat. We got working on a match for Adam. Adam's going to be pumped up. So check us out, and hopefully we'll see you there. You guys will be there live watching us through the streams. All right, guys, till next time.